Your cousin just tried to take your throne, your title, and your entire legacy, and Roman Reigns looked him dead in the eyes and said, "Not today." Welcome to Slam Nation, the ultimate home for the most insane, unpredictable, and explosive wrestling drama on the planet. We are breaking down one of the most personal, most brutal, and most emotionally charged matches in recent WWE history. Roman Reigns vs. Jacob Fatu, tribal combat for the World Heavyweight Championship, in Alpi Arena in Turin, Italy. This was not just a wrestling match. This was a war between blood, a battle for the soul of the Samoan dynasty, and a fight that has been building for months with a fury that no one in that building could have fully prepared for. Let's go all the way back to WrestleMania 42. Roman Reigns defeats CM Punk to capture the World Heavyweight Championship, and the moment should have been pure celebration. But what happened next shocked everyone. Jacob Fatu, Reigns' real-life cousin and one of the most physically imposing men on the entire roster, steps forward and puts the entire locker room on notice. He doesn't just want opportunities. He wants the title. He wants to provide for his family. He wants to be the one sitting at the head of the table. The respect in the moment was real, but underneath every word, there was a fire burning that was heading toward an explosion. Reigns was reluctant. You have to understand the weight of that reluctance. This is not just a champion protecting his title from a hungry challenger. This is a man wrestling with the idea of destroying his own bloodline in order to stay on top. But Fatu did not give him a choice. The Tongan death grip became a weapon of pure chaos across Monday Night Raw. Fatu put the grip on officials, on the Usos, on anyone and everyone who stood between him and that championship. He incapacitated Reigns on multiple occasions until the tribal chief had absolutely no option but to accept the challenge. And when Reigns accepted, the entire WWE universe felt the gravity of what was coming. They met first at Backlash, where Reigns retained partly through the use of an exposed turnbuckle and a controversial finish that left the door wide open and the rivalry far from settled. Fatu was not done. Not even close. The Monday after Backlash, Fatu went on an absolute rampage, putting the Tongan death grip on the Usos and attacking officials until WWE threatened to fire him on the spot. Facing termination, Fatu did not back down or beg for forgiveness. He stood in front of the company and issued a direct challenge to Reigns for tribal combat at Clash in Italy. No rules. No escape. The title and the tribal chief status both hanging in the balance. If you love WWE drama and insane wrestling moments like this, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to Slam Nation, and turn on notifications because things are only getting crazier from here. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now because I want to know whose side you are on. Now let's talk about what happened inside that arena in Turin, because this was unlike anything the Italian crowd had ever witnessed, and they made absolutely sure the entire world felt every single moment of it. From the very first second, the intensity was suffocating. Fatu went for the Tongan death grip immediately. No setup, no feeling out, no posturing for the crowd, straight for the throat. Reigns slipped to the outside, buying himself precious time, but Fatu was already in full pursuit. They brawled around ringside before taking the fight directly into the crowd, up the arena stairs, past the concession stands, through the Italian fans who had no idea they were about to become part of the chaos. Fans could not believe what they were seeing. This was not a structured wrestling match. This was a street fight happening in one of Europe's most electric arenas, and the violence was only just getting started. When they finally returned to the ringside area, Reigns escalated things to a completely different level. He reached inside the ring, grabbed the steel steps with both hands, and launched them directly into the face of Jacob Fatu on the floor outside. This completely changed everything. The crowd exploded. Reigns had found his gear. He rolled Fatu back inside and began building momentum, but this is where Fatu's terrifying resilience became the most compelling story of the entire night. Reigns hit the Superman punch. Fatu absorbed it, laughed, and kicked out. The WWE universe exploded after this happened. The Samoan werewolf was not going down from signature moves. He was swallowing punishment that would have finished most men and throwing it right back with a fury that made the champion visibly frustrated. Fatu intercepted a spear attempt with a thunderous superkick and immediately locked in the Tongan death grip with both men's fates hanging in the balance. But what happened next shocked everyone in that building. Reigns escaped the hold, grabbed a toolbox from ringside, and drove it straight into Fatu's hand, deliberately targeting the very weapon being used against him. Fatu's grip was compromised, and Reigns seized on the opening without hesitation. He hit a massive spear that launched Fatu through the ringside barricade with enormous impact. Another spear followed inside the ring, and Fatu kicked out at 2.5. 2.5. An enraged Reigns started dismantling the ring itself, ripping 3 of the 4 turnbuckles completely off the ropes, leaving nothing but exposed steel. Nobody expected this moment from Reigns. A desperate, furious champion tearing the arena apart because he could not put away his own cousin despite throwing everything he had. And just when it seemed Reigns had control of the match, Fatu struck. Another Tongan death grip clamped on, squeezing the life from the champion. Reigns somehow countered again, slamming Fatu's head repeatedly into the exposed steel of those stripped turnbuckles. And then, with Reigns standing over him, Fatu hit a spear of his own completely out of nowhere that sent the entire building into absolute frenzy. Things became even more chaotic from there. Fatu climbed to the top rope and connected with the mighty moonsault, crashing down on the champion with all of his considerable weight. Reigns kicked out, inadvertently landing a low blow in the desperation of the moment that bought him the seconds he needed. The closing stretch was a violent and breathless exchange with both men digging into reserves that most athletes simply do not possess. Fatu reapplied the Tongan death grip one final time, but Reigns countered and drove Fatu's head into the exposed turnbuckle over and over until the challenger had nothing left to give. Reigns set up a table in the corner. He lined up his cousin. He hit a spear that drove Fatu through the wood with an impact that shook the entire ring and brought the Italian crowd to their feet. But Reigns was not finished. One more spear in the center of the ring. The referee counted 3. Roman Reigns goes 3-0 in tribal combat and retains the World Heavyweight Championship. The tribal chief endures through blood, through family, through the most dangerous challenge of his reign. The aftermath hit harder than the match itself. Jimmy and GUSO came to the ring and placed the Ula Fala ceremonially around Reigns' neck in a moment that carried the full emotional weight of everything this bloodline has been through together. Fatu was left in the corner, beaten, diminished, and bound by the rules of tribal combat to stand before Roman Reigns on Raw the very next night, still in Turin, and acknowledge him as the tribal chief in front of the entire world. But here is where the story becomes explosive all over again. As Reigns, the Usos, and a humble Fatu made their way toward the stage, Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Tala Tonga appeared at ringside, watching from behind the barricade in total silence. Reigns locked eyes on them. He turned to the Usos and made it clear that he already had plans for what comes next. Fatu glanced over at the MFTs before falling in line and walking out behind the Usos, and that single brief look told an entire story in just 1 second. The question burning through the entire WWE universe right now is devastating in its simplicity. What happens when Fatu has to publicly acknowledge the man who just destroyed him in front of the world? Does he comply? Does he explode? And what exactly is Solo Sikoa engineering from the sidelines after spending months watching his family tear itself apart? Because Solo and the MFTs did not travel to Turin just to observe. They came to wait. They came to position. And whatever comes next from that faction is going to shake the bloodline to its foundation all over again. Roman Reigns just survived the most dangerous challenger his bloodline has ever produced. He is now 3-0 in tribal combat. He is still the World Heavyweight Champion. He is still the tribal chief. But when your enemies are your own cousins, no victory is ever truly final, and no throne is ever truly safe. The most explosive chapter of this story has not been written yet, and Slam Nation will be here every single step of the way. If this breakdown fired you up, smash the like button right now, subscribe to Slam Nation, and share this video with every wrestling fan you know because we are just getting started. Drop everything in the comments below. Did Roman Reigns prove he is the undisputed tribal chief for life? Is Jacob Fatu done, or is the real explosion still coming? And what does Solo Sikoa's presence in Turin actually mean for the road ahead? The Bloodline War is not over. It has just entered its most dangerous and unpredictable chapter yet.